Hello, everyone. I'm going to talk today about context awareness, digressions, and randomness in modern chatbot design. First, thank you for inviting me, and thank you for watching this video in the early morning for you. For me, it's in the afternoon. I'm in Paris. Okay, I'll begin with my presentation and sharing this. So my name is Sattisvar. I will lead you to this talk about context awareness. It's something that we do in Botfuel, and we will pretty soon to deliver an SDK that will enable the developers to do that, to make their chatbots aware of context, able of randomness, and be able of doing digressions. What is it about? Actually, usually when you do a chatbot, it's almost like an app, and you're going through a linear way of interacting with the chatbots, asking questions and taking answers. Sometimes the chatbots ask you again questions, and then you follow up answering those. But when you want to allow the bot to extract entities that are not directly requested, when you want to come back from a previous statement and change something about what you said, or if you want to just talk about something else during the talk, during the dialogue, then those are more difficult tasks. So when you need the chatbots to handle more than one conversation, one straight conversation, more context, and maybe several digressions, then it's even harder. But we'll see inside our talk exactly what's happening in this kind of situation. So I believe that great conversational services and great conversational chatbots must understand context and handle digressions. So in everyday life, when you talk to someone, you expect the other to follow the conversation, to listen to what you say, and reciprocity. But sometimes you just change your mind and you go back to what you said, and sometimes even at the middle of the sentence, you go back to the beginning of the sentence and change something. This is quite difficult for a chatbot to understand exactly what you're talking about, and if the conversation is leading to a precise point in the conversation or in the context. So in Botfuel, at Botfuel, we want to provide you an SDK that we call CAN, which is Context Aware Navigation, and we want to design things as much as human-like interactions during the conversation. To achieve that, so we provide an SDK where everything is very simple to describe. So you can make sentences, you can make examples of sentences where the bot should catch a certain intent. You can make entities detections. So we have a full range of entity detections as a web service, fully integrated into the SDK. And you can also provide some custom entities that you want the chatbots to understand. Let's go to some definitions. First, what is randomness? When we're talking about randomness in a conversation with a chatbot, it's the fact that the chatbot is able to understand what you are telling according to the context. I mean, for instance, if you have a travel chatbot and you want to book, let's say, a plane ticket, you need to explain where you are going to depart, the arrival, the time for your schedule, and how long you will stay at the place you are going to. All of these informations can be told at once in one sentence or scattered along more than one sentence. And the chatbot should not expect you to talk first about the departure and then the arrival place, and then the time. But maybe sometimes you can say like, I'm going to San Francisco, and by the way, I'm coming from Paris, and I would like to go like next September, next Sunday, or this kind of time entities can be also can appear in different sentences. That's randomness, which is different from haphazardness. Haphazardness maybe is more like the author is telling something that's completely unrelated, and we don't catch that. So let's begin with the idea of context. So you have, what is the context? The context is one topic and all the things that goes around, like implicit or explicit. So, for example, if the context is booking an hotel, then everything that's going inside is part of the context. So the fact that a number of people is necessary to understand if you're booking an hotel for you only, for other people's also. It might be interesting to understand that there is a span of time spending in the hotel. Many information can come into. All of these things about the booking of an hotel is part of one context, as an example. And digressions refers to a temporary departure from the main subject. That means if you're talking about something and you want to introduce something else, or telling like, by the way, and you're talking about something else completely unrelated to the main topic, you have many things to take into account for this. Like when you go from one topic to another, that's called digression. So you have to catch that as a chatbot. You have to understand that the user is not talking about the same thing. And at some point, the digressions end, and you need to catch the fact that you're going back to the subject earlier. So I'm going to show you a little example, and then after I will provide you a demonstration, live demo of how we do that with our SDK, and especially emphasizing the things that are problematic and that we cannot do with already delivered chatbots. So my example will be about jeans and shoes. Like on the left of your screen, you have a typical conversation with a human and a chatbot, or maybe someone who's selling clothes in a department store. So first, the example will show you exactly what randomness is. So you can see like the bot at the second sentence ask, what is your style of jean? And it catches the color, and he asks, is it for male or female? And the guy reply, and at some point he asks for the cut, but the user reply that he prefers his jeans in red. So the chatbot needs to catch that and correct the color he already marked. So that's randomness, your ability to go back and change what you say, the ability of not really replying to what the bot asked, but maybe to reply to something else, or to something that he's going to ask you further. And the ability to give incomplete pieces of information means you can talk about something, you can tell something very precisely, or you can just forget about something and say only vague information and complete it further in other sentences. Okay, and so next it's context awareness. Context awareness is, if you follow up the conversation that we had with the other bots, this slide shows you on the left again the following of the conversation. So now the user would like to buy shoes. So the chatbot knows that we are switching to something new and ask questions about the shoes. And at some point, the user say something about the jeans. So he goes back to the earlier context, and yet the chatbot is able to understand it and going to update the information he had for the jeans. So that's context awareness, the ability to entangle what piece of information relates to. So here we have color, and the chatbot understands that the color goes for the shoes, not for the jeans anymore. And when we talk specifically about the jeans, even in the context of the shoes, we still understand and we keep track of that. So the way the SDK will provide you things will be a pile of context, a stack of context. So you stack one context whenever it comes, and whenever you catch the fact that the context is away, that it's finished, or we are going back to another context, precisely, you unstack that context and go back to the previous one. And third, digressions. What digressions needs, and we have still on the left the end of the conversation, where the user, by the way, how is the weather here? Ask for something completely unrelated with jeans and shoes, and still the chatbot is able to catch it. And then you can add something to your cart, for example, a new gray sweater, and that brings you the fact that the context is ended because there's nothing more to say about the weather after that. Okay, so now I will lead you to a demo. Okay, I see that there is some questions. I will maybe ask, reply to the question, do you detect context switch from shoes to jeans based on keyword jeans? Not only the keyword jeans, but it might be a detection of intent. So if the entities you extract comes with something related to jeans, it can be also detected. You can have also clear sentences like "let's go back to jeans" or "let's go back to the previous" or this kind of thing. So it's up to the developer to make the assumptions of what kind of sentence will provide or what kind of range he wants to detect. I will show you that exactly in the demo. And now, as you can see, I will launch on one side a bot. Previous of that, I need to train the bot actually. So come straight away. Okay, now the bot is trained, and I can ask for the onboarding. Now the bot is ready to answer to me. On the right hand side, I will show you exactly what's logged and what's inside the brain of the bot. So the list of the thing you can see in the right hand side is very cluttered. There's many things that will be written. So I will just show you in which part you have to pay attention. So onboarding, I can say like, for example, hello. And the chatbot will reply, hello human, what I can do for you. I say, I'd like to buy a pair of jeans, for instance. So you understand that, and it asks all the questions related to the jeans, like what kind of cut, which color, is it for male or female? You can say, for instance, well, I can say like blue jeans. Blue is my color for jeans. Okay, I got the jeans color. Blue, what kind of cut, is it for male or female? Still repeating the same questions, but we can provide alternatives for that, of course. They like it's for a boy, for a man. Okay, then what kind of cut? And at that point, maybe I can say like, actually, what about red jeans or red one? Okay, so we updated the jeans color. Still asking for what kind of cut, and said that, well, I like to buy shoes also. Okay, then now we're switching to the context of shoes, and that we can see that here, if you go a little bit further here, you see that you go through all of these entities that it extract, and you saw shoes, which is not an entity but an intent. So we switch the context and stack it. So it's like here for the shoe, I can say, for instance, my shoe size is 10. Okay, 10 will be sufficient. You will understand that it's a shoe size. I have big feet. Okay. Which color? If I say black, it will be okay with the fact that the shoes color is black, not the jeans. Shoes ordered. Let's get back to the jeans. So now we go back to the previous context and ask for, again, the unanswered questions. Okay. Now I will ask for the weather, for instance. Now, if I say like maybe like weather here, you will have the information of here was missing, so you'll ask for here. What's here? I'll say like maybe what kind of city do you like? What city I can say like maybe I don't know. Let's say San Francisco. Winter is coming to San Francisco, so the next few months will be cold. Okay, so you catch in San Francisco. And you get back to the jeans. What kind of cut? Okay, so this is the way it has. Oh, Rome. Rome can be also, I can ask what the weather. Rome. It will say, yeah, winter's coming to Rome. Same sentence. I didn't get any weather web services plugged into, but you can imagine that it's can be possible to do that also. And the bot gets stuck a little bit. It's stuck on the jeans because it still have one answer not answered by the user, so it will keep on asking it. So this the demo here will end here. Everything here is showing you that the bots can have many sentences. I will show you a little bit maybe the if I can. I'm not sure if I can show you the example of code. So how is it? Okay, let's stop that. Next on. Okay. So go to the source of it. We have many things, controller dialogues. So whenever you need something, like for example for shoes, you just say that shoes are a namespace, and you have as an entity, you need a number for the size and a color. And if you go back to here, you see that you have data and you can have an intent. Well, the shoes intent, say I would like to buy a pair of shoes, and that's sufficient for him to understand what kind of sentence will lead to this intent. You can add more and more examples of sentences that will lead to that intent, and you will find a way to classify it. And for example, you have also corpuses, like if I finally answer the jeans cut, one of these will be understood: slim, relaxed, straight, skinny. Okay, and also you have cues, templates, and all the sentences you want to make. For instance, if you say the gender and the way to ask for the gender, is it male or if it's female, or if you want to confirm it, if you say that's okay then. Okay, now you've seen a little bit of the code that brings the things. It's already completely based on the SDK that we will provide very soon. Sorry. Let's go back to the slides. Okay, I will show you a little bit about the framework, and then the talk will end. So our framework, as I said, we have a stack of context, and we provide a web service of detection of entities, and you can add up on this custom entities that you want to be detected as easily as having a text file with each sentences that leads to the entities or the way of detecting it, like we've seen that for the jeans cut. Then you match the entities or one of these entities through the pile of context in descending order. So first the more recent context, and then the context before, and then the context before. So for example, for the color, we were in the shoes context, and at that moment I say that I wanted to buy black shoes, and the bot matches with the shoes context. If I was replying, I wanted skinny jeans, or I wanted skinny without selling jeans, skinny will be some of the entities that match with jeans, nothing in shoes, but then the context earlier is jeans, it will match, and it will update that. And once the entities have been matched and we understood which context we were talking about, we have detection of intents. Detection of intents means only like if we detect a new intent, then we stack up another context. If we detect an earlier intent of the same of one of the previous contexts, we go back to that context. And in every sentence, we watch out for triggers for termination or digressions. And if we finish the dialogue about some context, because maybe we have all the information we wanted, and so there's nothing more to ask, we can go to the previous context, or all the information that the user wanted, we provided them for the weather. He asked for the weather of a certain city, we provided, then the weather is the weather dialog is finished, so we unstack this context. So the same way for digressions. So if you want to see it in a very nice design of this, like you have the sentence of the user on the top, and from the sentence of the user, we extract all the entities we can and all the intents we can. And first, with the entities, we go back in descending order on the stack, and we get all the context of the first context that should match with the entities we extracted. At that point, we switch on the context, or we stay on the context we are, and we watch for the intents then. And if the intents provide us the information that we should maybe stack or unstack something, and at the very end, we look at the triggers that go for digressions or termination. That's it. So I hope you enjoyed this conversation and this talk. And now I'm ready to answer maybe some of the questions you have. You can write them on the chat, and I will try to answer that as the best as I can. And speak about your background, how you became an NLP engineer with BotFuel. Yes. I worked in BotFuel since maybe 6 months now. My background is a computer scientist. I've been in a grade school in France called the École Normale Supérieure, for those who know that. This school provided me a wide range of scientific luggage, my background. And I became a computer scientist first, and I have backgrounds in mathematics also. And my thesis was about logic distributed in networks, so very theoretical. And after that, I went to a postdoc about NLPs in a team in France, where the idea was to generalize the grammar for any language in a very in a learning fashion way. So that was my first job as a researcher, and then I quit the research to go to startups and provide us for this kind of thing. So so that's pretty it. I began to bot fuel as an LP engineer for that reason. All the things you've seen here, you can sign up in botfuel.io. I will write you here. We have now a dev portal, so I think you can have all the things you want here. So this is the page for the documentation, but you have also the community there. You have also I think, I'm not sure the links works. Yeah, I think the link works. Okay. Yeah. So there you can sign up as a developer and create some app that will necessarily be bots. So at that precise things, you need an API key that will be provided by our framework, and from that you can use our services. They're going to be free for a certain amount of time, and at some point you will need to pay. So it's usual things. You have rate limiting, and if you need to make more than thousands of calls, maybe, then you will need to pay for it. Thank you for watching me. Feel free to ask me all the questions, and I will still answer you either by the chat or by the interviews. Goodbye.